Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Basecamp, although Aiden did a pretty good job of welcoming us all right before lunch. My name is Mike Tadros, and I've got a company called Igloo Studios. We do a bunch of things. We've got a SketchUp training website called School, and then a SketchUp modeling service company called Blue Marble Project, and a few other projects that we've got going on. And Google asked us to come in and talk a little bit about some of the work that we do, and also talk a little bit about how you guys can leverage a lot of the different Google applications and Google tools to promote your own work. So we're definitely excited to be here, and thanks to Google, thanks to Jonathan and Dusty for putting on this great event. And I don't think I've ever seen a room with this many laptops in it before, so that's also pretty cool. So definitely feel free to follow along. This presentation isn't as much of a hands-on presentation, so we're not necessarily going to be going step through step or step by step through anything, but we do have some cool insights and some cool behind-the-scenes looks at some of the stuff that we do in our own business and some of the Google products that we use. So it will definitely be cool if you guys are wanting to click on some stuff and check out some of the different websites that we're going to cover in our presentation. Also, just wanted to introduce co-owner of Igloo Studios, Alex Oliver. He's going to be coming in halfway through some of the different parts of the presentation to give you guys a little bit more additional information and some of the stuff that we do. So
and we'll keep you guys posted about what stuff we're talking about that'll be available later. But two things: one is the presentation will be made available to you guys online, so if there's anything worth taking notes on, you don't have to scribble it down now. And not only the presentation, but also some of the different things that we show that we like to do will be available in a blog that we'll give you the link to also. So again, you don't have to worry about scribbling down anything you see. If you miss something, it'll be available online after.
So that all having been said, the first slide that we've got, well, I guess I could add that up while I was introducing myself. The central theme, or the central tenet to the presentation that we've got for you today is that when it comes to promoting your work, we tend at least to think of promotion as a combination of content creation and content sharing. And those are really the two things that Google products are especially good at. And so since everyone here, I'm assuming, is a SketchUp fan, we're going to be looking at SketchUp essentially as a content creation tool. And then we're going to be looking at a whole bunch of other Google products that also allow you to create content, but more specifically allow you to share that content with so many people. And in terms of all of these different applications, and in terms of the work that we do in particular, we try with as many projects as we can to create as immersive of an experience, a content experience online as possible. And one of the really cool things that you'll see about a lot of these different Google tools and Google products is that they all have the capability to link through to each other. And that's probably one of the most important aspects of content sharing, is to give people the type of content that they're looking for in the place where they may be looking for it, but then to make sure that that content is also linked through to other forms of that content. And that should hopefully start to make a little more sense as we get through some of these different products. I'm actually using a Google product, which is up on the list there, called Google Presentation, to give this presentation. It's an online, sort of like a PowerPoint type of a program that allows you to create these types of presentations. And the link that we're going to be giving you guys is going to be available on the Basecamp website alongside the schedule. And so you'll actually see a link to this presentation that you'll be able to open up and view this exact same presentation online when we're all done. So we kind of patted ourselves on the back for saving a couple trees. Sorry for no handouts, but it's all going to be available online. So the presentation today is structured. We've got 5 case studies for you. The first one is a case study about architectural design. Are very many of you here in the room today architectural designers? Cool, most of you, excellent. And just a sense, go ahead and shout out what other stuff you guys may be into.
Urban design, actually.
Urban design, awesome. Woodworking, very cool.
Design.
Solar design, excellent. Marketing, perfect. Yeah, this is definitely a marketing presentation or presentation for marketing folks?
Architectural education.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, so a lot of educators like the fact that most of these applications are free too, so that'll be
Domestic construction.
domestic construction. Okay, cool. Yeah, so a lot of really great diversity in the room. And so architectural design is our first case study. We're also going to be looking at product, sort of building products. And then we've got some stuff related to educational content in particular and video production. So the first case study that we put together is about architectural design. And we decided to actually take a look at some of the work that Michelle Kaufman has been doing lately. How many folks are familiar with her work or have heard of her? A lot of people. Cool. And so a credit not only to the work that they're doing in her office, but also hopefully in some part to the extent to which she's using Google products to promote her own work. So just take a look, first of all, at her website. And on the site, a lot of really great information. And in particular, if I scroll down, I can actually go down to the homes section. And for each one of the homes, one of the things that she has available in terms of product information is a 3D page dedicated to each design. And here is where she talks a lot about how you can use SketchUp and Google Earth to explore a lot of the different prefab designs that she has. And in addition to that, there are also, let me back up a second here. There are also YouTube videos that she has posted for each model where she's generated animations from within SketchUp and exported those animations. She has those on her website, but then she's also uploaded those to YouTube. So when we're talking about architectural design, these are some of the applications that you can see applied to some of Michelle Kaufman's work in terms of how she's marketing her products and her projects. As I mentioned before, sort of the central theme to all of this is that she's creating a lot of content using SketchUp. And so this is a specific SketchUp model, or just an image of a specific SketchUp model. But if I click through to the link, that's going to take us to the Google 3D warehouse, where that same SketchUp model design has been uploaded. I had a conversation actually just a couple of days ago with an architectural designer who I met from Sydney. And he had mentioned that one of his hesitations about the 3D warehouse was in terms of giving up, sort of his firm's little secret design sauce. And there was some intellectual property concerns there that he had. So I actually also wanted to go ahead and open up this SketchUp model within the 3D warehouse. Just a quick peruse through in case any of you guys haven't seen the warehouse. The 3D warehouse is an online repository where anyone can upload SketchUp models. Anyone with a Google account can upload SketchUp models, and anyone can download SketchUp models. And here's the little download link that in this case would allow us to download this SketchUp model in SketchUp version 5 format. There is also a place for you to add a description for your models and then some tags. These are all of the searchable keywords that allow you to easily get from theme or from model to other model. So if I actually go back to my little one there, actually I'll just click back to it from here. So if I go back to this page, I can download the SketchUp model. I actually already have the SketchUp model downloaded. So I'll just open it up here in SketchUp. Where did it go? I have it open probably. There it is. I'm just going to turn the shadows off so that I can orbit a little bit faster. And then here I just wanted to take the section tool and cut a quick building section through the SketchUp model just to show you guys that the SketchUp model isn't really giving away anything in terms of construction details. It's not giving anything away in terms of the architectural detailing of this model. It's really just a shell model that's intended to give potential buyers or potential customers an idea of the space, the internal spaces, the exterior design of the model. And in a lot of cases, what I've seen other folks do is create just strictly exterior shell models where they really even haven't modeled the interior walls in any level of detail, or the windows, for example, are a lot more two-dimensional. But in this case, a really great SketchUp model that allows people to get in and really kind of test drive. That's her little catch buzzword is she likes allowing people the opportunity to test drive these models and test drive the designs. So here I clicked the place camera tool, and we're actually inside the SketchUp model taking a look through some of the different stuff. So creating content using SketchUp, and then now we're kind of starting to look at one of the options in terms of sharing that content. So the 3D Warehouse, first and foremost, but then also YouTube, Google Maps, and Blogger. So if I go back over to her website, we can also take a look at, let's see, where is it here? The videos that she has posted. I think there's one on the MK Lotus page. And in this case, when you click on the videos, you'll notice that all of the different videos are YouTube videos that have been embedded on the website. And if we click through any of these videos, we can either watch them directly on the website or open them up in
this episode
YouTube.
of the SketchUp Show, we'll show you how an architect and a product manufacturer are using
So this is
SketchUp
actually
to
one of
tackle
the
green
SketchUp Show episodes that we produced about Michelle Kaufman's MK Lotus home, which was on display
We're in San Francisco,
last
home of
November.
the West Coast Green Conference and Expo. And we're going to introduce you to the MK Lotus home designed by an architect.
So if I pause that and then jump back over to YouTube, take a look at her page on YouTube. And if we just click on any of these Michelle Kaufman videos, let's click on this one. One of the cool things about YouTube also is that just like the 3D Warehouse, where if you're looking at one model, it gives you suggestions about other models that you may be interested in. Now that we're on YouTube, we're practically looking at a Michelle Kaufman channel. I mean, these are just tons of videos that are all related to her and her work and some of her SketchUp work in particular, but just all kinds of really great stuff. And one of the things that they've been doing is exporting animations from their SketchUp models as QuickTime movies or as AVI movies, and then uploading those SketchUp animations to their YouTube account. So this video in particular looks through the installation of the MK Lotus home at the West Coast Green Expo. But once you get through the video a bit more, it takes a look at some Google Earth animations and then also some SketchUp animations. So. And then in terms of another aspect of what she does, she's also got a blog on her website. Now she doesn't use Google's Blogger tool, but Aiden does. Aiden's the guy who was all saying hello at the right before lunch. And the SketchUp blog is the blog that Aiden maintains, and he uses Blogger for that. So I'm actually going to turn it over to Alex, who's going to talk a little bit about Blogger and some of its applications related to SketchUp.
So based off of the case study that Mike was going through here, our main point here is that we have an architectural design firm with Igloo Studios, and we thought, okay, so we create all these great models and we want to get them out there and get people interested in what we do. So let's maybe put images of them up. Let's maybe put something up for people to download and play with. And it was really, we started saying, okay, we want our audience to interact with us a little bit. We want them to share. But then we realized too that if we put everything just on our website, a lot of you guys here don't necessarily know where to find our website, but you might know, because it's Google, you might know about a lot of their products. You might know about YouTube. You might know about the 3D Warehouse, and you might find us that way. I'm going to cover 3 image types, so to speak, that we use to promote our SketchUp models. I'm going to go with Picasa, then I'm going to cover something called the SketchUp Web Exporter, which is fairly new, and then also the embed code for the 3D Warehouse that you can put on your own site. I'm going to switch here to a blog that we set up blank. Igloo Studios Inc. blogspot.com. So Blogger is an application. It's a Google application that's free. So I'm showing you this, but it could be your own website that we're talking about here. But in context of some of these other items out there for you. So first, Picasa. We all are familiar with just images, taking an image of your SketchUp file, exporting it, and having something to show somebody. There's lots of different image uploading ability all over the web. I'm showing Picasa here. But what I want to show in particular is I've uploaded a few different photos from our portfolio, different buildings that we've worked on, some products, into a free account at Picasa. So one of the things here is that people might be browsing Picasa. They might come across our information there. You can also, there's a kind of a neat little thing here called Embed Slideshow. So right on the bottom here, under Embed Slideshow, if you click on this, you get a little embed code that you can copy paste. I'll just show you how easy this is. You don't have to be a programmer here. I'm not trying to go through and teach everybody exactly how to do it on your website, but I want to show you that with just copying that code and going back over to my blog, I can make a post to my blog. Let me just, I actually need to log out here, sorry. And log back in. I was logged in under a different username, so I'll just log into my blog.
It can be either blog or website.
Yeah, this can be a website too. Everything I'm doing here is just to show it in the context of Blogger. But if you go to your website and you've got the code in the HTML portion of your website or in this blog, I'm just going to paste it. And in this case, I'll publish it to my blog. And then I'll look at the blog. And you'll see that there's now, opening up soon here. There it is. So you could have this nice little slideshow that's running. Now, we have web programmers at our company that, at first they say, oh, these are just free applications. Why don't we create our own customized skin? But again, remember, you're going to have these images are going to be out there in a place where other people are going, Picasa or choose your own image sorting kind of place. And so instead of somebody having to know the name of your blog or the name of your website, they're going to be able to find these images elsewhere. You always want to be where everyone else naturally is on the web. We're finding that a lot. We as a small company are gaining some traction with our target audience because we're where they are rather than expecting them to, hey, you're supposed to know who Igloo Studios is. If you're Google, you can get away with that. We can't. So this is sort of your standard image procedure. Now I want to show you something that is fairly new called the SketchUp Web Exporter. So I'm going to go to the SketchUp website, just sketchup.com, which actually is sketchup.google.com. And if you go into the download section, and then you go into the plugins section, there's something down here in the viewer compatibility. Let me raise that up a little bit so you can see. So under viewer compatibility, there's something called the Google SketchUp Web Exporter Beta. I'll just click on it. It's just going to skip me down the page. So at the very top of the page, it's an explanation. And I'm going to show you how this works. It's PC only right now, which means people on a Mac or a PC can see the results I'm about to show you. But in order to use this tool on your program, on your computer, you'll need to have a PC. We're running off a Mac, so I'm not going to show you how it works, but I'm going to explain it. What it does is you have a plugin, and in SketchUp, it's going to take an image and give you an image that you can put on a website. Seems like SketchUp already does that, but this image allows you to allows a user on a web page to orbit 360 degrees around that image without having SketchUp, without having the SketchUp viewer. It's really cool. So what happens is SketchUp basically takes a picture all the way around your model, puts each one of those pictures in a folder, and auto creates the code that you need to put into your website. So I'm going to show you. I've already saved the code onto the desktop here. And I apologize again that we're not on a PC to show you exactly how this works. It really is pretty easy. But the web exporter, so we just generate a little snippet of code that I'm going to copy. I'm going to go back over to my blog that I've got going for you guys, and I'm going to create a new post. And again, if you're this, as I'm showing this in a blog, it's the same as being online. You just paste this code in your general HTML document. I'll click Publish Post. Let's check out the blog again in a new window. And now you see there's this image here. Now, this image is not, this is not a SketchUp model that we created, but this image just seems like, okay, what is that of? But you notice if I hover my cursor over it, becomes this arrow. And as I click and move down and around, notice that it's letting me orbit 360 degrees around this scene. This is called the SketchUp Web Exporter. And again, if I had a PC, it's a plugin that I install into SketchUp. And then I would generate one of these images and a little snippet of code. You put the code on your site, and you can imagine you could put a building or a product, and somebody would be able to turn 360 degrees around without ever having to have SketchUp, which is pretty cool.
How does the user know that they can click and move that around?
What we would do in this case is probably put a little title right above it that told somebody, you know, this is how you have to do it. I think that it's so new that right now there's not a lot of uses of it yet on the web. I'm imagining that they'll probably address that somehow or another. Maybe there'll be like a little toolbar or something. Maybe not, I don't know. But for right now, the only indication is that when you hover over your cursor, it's not doing it now, but turns into a little arrow. And if you click and hold down and move the mouse back and forth, you can see around the SketchUp model. Yes?
Yeah, actually, we're with Form Fonts 3D, and we...
That's from Form Fonts.
Yeah, that's from our site.
This model is from their site.
And what we did is we actually modified the code because the code it's available. You can edit it as you like. It takes a certain field of view, so we edited it so you can set the camera angle pretty much wherever you want.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. And the other thing is what we're going to do is modify the code so that it'll start in an animation mode, so that you don't have to accidentally drag the cursor over it.
So here's the Form Fonts website, and they've done this with several images on the front, so you can spin the tree around or you can spin the car around. So you're talking about how you can set the camera angle high to look at the car from this angle rather than at a person view.
Yeah, and then when we load it, we're going to just have it kind of spin automatically,
Mm-hmm.
so that when you actually drag your mouse over it, it will stop, and then that'll let you know it's interactive.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that would be a good indication if you saw it spinning.
Yeah, and as he mentioned, the code that I showed you is the code that will load the page, which is full of a lot more code. Again, all of this is generated for you, but you can get in there if you're a programmer or if anybody on your team is a programmer, you can get in there and customize it. Because essentially all it is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a series of images that the code is just telling your cursor how to react as it's at a certain point. So really it's like an animated series of images. So if you know a thing or two about programming, you can kind of customize it to do what you need.
JavaScript or whatever.
Yeah, it's a script.
It's
Yeah.
not anything. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So that's called the SketchUp Web Exporter. Again, I'll make sure to put a link to this so that you guys can get it at the end. And then the last thing that I wanted to show, which Mike touched on, the 3D warehouse. So when you're in the 3D warehouse and you decide that you want to show off one of your models to somebody, I'm just going to go into the Blue Marble Project collection, and we'll take a building. So you've got something in SketchUp, and we've shown how you can download the model. You can also there's some links down here. So Mike was working up at the top here with the downloading of the model, but if you come down a little further, you have some different links here where under include, there's some code, again, that's generated automatically for you that you can cut and paste and put into your site. So let's try that. I'm going to copy this code, come back over to the blog, create a new post, make sure I'm editing the HTML. And if I preview this code, you'll see it's just the same exact photo. I'll publish it so we can look at it on the blog. And what this does is it brings up another type of image. So it's just an image that should show up here. It's still loading. but it's just an image of the photo, but it's a direct link to your 3D warehouse model. So not anything too high tech there, but again, another way of putting an image up that links people directly to your model. And we're always trying to create no dead ends. We're trying to make it so that from one image you can get to our models, and from our models you might get to our videos, and so on and so forth. It's not loading because of a little bit of a slow connection. But in that preview window, let's see if the preview just shows it enough. That's what it should look like, and when you click on it, it'll take you back to the warehouse. So Mike's going to continue with a couple more case studies, but that's sort of the things that we found that are working for us with using images out of SketchUp.
So the second case study that we're going to go through is related to 3D computer modeling. It's another aspect of our business where we actually do a lot of work with building product manufacturers, and then have done quite a bit of work modeling buildings, geo-referenced buildings that show up in Google Earth. So there's two kind of main aspects there to what we're doing with Blue Marble Project. But in this case, we're going to focus on some of the work that we're doing with building product manufacturers, and in particular, a new project which we're not done with it yet. It's like a week out from going out, but it's something that we've been working on for almost about 8 months now, working with a trade publication called Sustainable Industries. They're a smaller print magazine, but every year, Sustainable Industries publishes a supplement to their magazine, and I had it open, but I don't think I have it open anymore, so I'm just going to open up last year's issue just so that we can take a look at that real quick. Basecamp folder. And I'm actually opening up a PDF. I think the only non-Google software that I'm going to look at today. But just kind of wanted to give you guys some more ideas in terms of how you can leverage the content that you're creating in SketchUp. So this was the Sustainable Industries 2007 Top 10 Green Building Products issue. Now this comes out as a printed supplement, but they also make a downloadable PDF of this article available from their website for anyone who wants to download it. So what we did is we started toying around with the 2007 issue and had some ideas about getting some of the building products that are in the magazine to show up in 3D. We did this using the RPS 3D PDF exporter. I don't know if any of you guys have checked that out, but it's also on the SketchUp website in the download section that Alex showed you earlier. And if I go through, we've also got some of these popping up in some of the actual products that were selected as some of the best products for 2007. So in this case, a windmill. So a couple of things going on here. One is that the 3D models were created in SketchUp, then they were exported to PDF as a .u3D file. That's the universal 3D format that Adobe Acrobat Reader 8.0 or higher will read. And within the PDF, the models are linked. So if I click on the model, I can actually jump back over to the 3D warehouse. And there's the SketchUp model that we created for 2007 Top 10 Green issue. And while I'm at it, if I just go to collections and type in Sustainable Industries, this is the collection that we're putting together for the 2008 issue. So the PDF isn't out yet, but the models that we've created for that PDF are. And in this case, you can see all of the different companies that were selected for this year's issue. And in for any of these companies, we can click on, let's see, who do we want to click on? These guys were fun to work with, the guys at Green Design Systems. So these guys put together a product which is a straw bale wall panel. That's a panelized straw bale system, which is a pretty cool product in and of itself. If I click on that again, you can see on the 3D warehouse page, some of the same stuff going on here as usual. So I'm going to get back and talk a little bit more about this in a second, but I want to go back over to Firefox and actually also over to Acrobat. So the last thing I wanted to show here is that not only was it cool for Sustainable Industries as the media company who's putting together and publishing this article to start thinking about 3D content, but one of the things that we sort of pushed these guys about was letting their advertisers also know that it was an option. So here's another company called Timbron, which creates trim moldings made out of extruded polystyrene, recycled polystyrene. And so we kind of put that model over their advertisement to show that as an option as well. And one of the advertisers that Sustainable Industries had included this year was actually Sloan. They're a plumbing fixture building product manufacturer. And if I go back over and grab their model and download that, that one's a cooler looking model. And once that downloads, open it up. And there you go. So this is the SketchUp model. The textures were projected from a photograph of the product. I'm not sure, maybe they would cover that in the photography tutorial that's happening later, but this is just something we like to do with a lot of our products. Building products that we put together is include the photo textures so that it really is like a three-dimensional, more realistic looking version of the model. And if I skip back over to Acrobat, I just want to open up the PDF that we did for the 2008 products. This one's going to take a second to upload probably because there's so many 3D models embedded in it. But just wanted to show the 3D files that we put together for this year's issue. So that same straw bale wall panel, here we are in Acrobat, able to spin that around as well. So all of these snippets will end up being included in the PDF. From the PDF, they'll all link back to the warehouse. And from the warehouse, they'll all link back to either the Sustainable Industries website. So it's a good way for them to promote the work that they're doing with their magazine. But since we're uploading the content as Blue Marble Project, it's also good promotion for us as the authors. People are able to click on our name there and see some of the other collections that we've put together and some of the other models that we've created for the warehouse. Yeah?
In building the Adobe file, are you using Adobe Acrobat, the 3D version, or just any Acrobat?
I have Acrobat Pro 8. And so Acrobat 3D has other tools that allow you to pull models apart, create little animations and stuff. For what we're doing, it's just a straight copy paste from the 3D PDF that's generated using the SketchUp plugin. And from there we copy the 3D file and then paste it into a new PDF document. And so we just did a quick WebEx with the guys at Sustainable Industries to show them that process of copy pasting and resizing. And then the only other thing that you want to take a look at when you're in Acrobat is the lighting for each model, because with the lights off, it looks pretty dirty. But if you get the right lights in there, and there are all kinds of different lighting settings, so it's really just a matter of playing with the lighting settings and then creating a default view so that when the model opens, it remembers those lighting preferences and the view preferences. Otherwise, there's no telling what someone will see when they open up that 3D PDF. So yeah, we're hoping this will be a really cool interactive way for a smaller trade publication to kind of show how nimble they are in terms of adapting to new technologies and allowing their advertisers to kind of get involved as well. And so not only is it of great benefit to the magazine and for us, but also for all of the products that were selected. Green Design Systems barely has a website, and because their products are so new and they're really kind of trying to focus on what's really important to them, which is the quality of their product. For us to be able to come in and get hooked up through a company like Sustainable Industries and help them out, now they've got information about their products on the 3D warehouse. They've got information about their products available in a 3D PDF format. And so compared to the stuff that they're using to send out in terms of their product literature, to advertise to folks about their products, this is going to be hopefully really exciting for them as well. And most of the feedback that we've been getting from these building product manufacturers has been really positive. This is a compressed earth block company, so we actually put together a whole SketchUp model that shows how that earth block product is installed. The same is true with this plywood product, which is manufactured by a company called Thermostrand. It's a radiant coating that's put on the underside of the plywood to get energy back into the house so it's not all leaking up through the roof. So that was a really cool product. Urban Hardwoods, reclaimed timber. This is a company called Agile Waves. They have a software that tracks energy use in real time in your home. And so a lot of the work that we were doing for this in particular was just kind of looking at how do we even represent a product like software in SketchUp and then get information about that out there for people to consume and play around with. And so for some of the more two-dimensional products, it was definitely a challenge, but just some cool ideas. This is a paint company, so we were really kind of at a loss for that. But the great thing about this model is that all the materials, actually I'll just open it up real quick. Sorry, I'm kind of going off on some SketchUp tangents. I'll pull it back in here in a second. But this was just a really fun product, or a really fun project to work on, so kind of excited about it. So in the material library, all of the paint samples are all named properly based on the paint color in their swatch library. And we get a lot of questions about this from companies that have more two-dimensional surface-oriented products, like countertop materials or paint colors or wallpapers or tile, like glass tile, where it wouldn't make sense to really model one tile in 3D. It would make more sense to put together a material library and talking to people about how they would go about that. So in this case, the paint colors are all represented in 3D in a SketchUp model just so you have something fun to spin around. But the real value here is the ability to be able to go and duplicate the material library for this file, which I've already done, so that I can just go to the Metro Paint material library, and there are all those same paint colors that anyone would be able to open. So having access to that file and now having that saved in your SketchUp library for future use is actually really helpful for people who want to be able to potentially specify this product in their project. So close that and close this. Yeah, that Sloan PDF came out really nice too, so I'll just open that up real quick. If I have it. I don't think I have it. Oh wait, it might be in here. Is it? Nope, that's the ugly one. Anyway, you'll see it in the magazine. So keep an eye out for that, the top 10 green issue on Sustainable Industries website, because it's just another cool example of some of this stuff in action in kind of a different way. So if I go back over to the presentation here, just to mention that these are obviously the applications that we're using. We're looking at SketchUp as the content creation aspect of this. There's a link here in our presentation for when you download that later that takes you to the Sustainable Industries collection on the warehouse. And then in terms of sharing it, the applications that we're really kind of trying to focus on here, and here especially, is the warehouse. With some of the geo content that we're creating, obviously people can see that content in Google Earth. There's another aspect of our presentation that'll touch quickly on that. But lastly, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about sort of some of the secrets about how the warehouse becomes really, really useful for you. And to do that, I just quickly want to go over to a new Firefox window and type in Kohler Escal toilet. Oh, I'm a really bad typist when I'm not paying attention. And one of the links that's going to show up, just what are we here, about 1, 2, 3 links down, is the link to the 3D warehouse. Okay, we're talking about all Google products here. Okay, so what does Google do better than anybody? They index content so that you can search for it and find what you're looking for. A lot of times too, if you type in the words 3D next to a search word, a lot better chances that you're going to find what you're looking for on the warehouse. But in this case, this links right back to the model in the 3D warehouse within the first page. And to take a look about how and why that's even possible, I just wanted to break down the 3D warehouse page and show you guys some of the things that are really important to pay attention to when you're uploading your content to the warehouse. One of the most important things is the title. And so in this case, whenever we're uploading building products as a title, we'll include things like a product SKU number, but then also a full title of that product that really gives people options for different combinations that they may use when they're searching for those products online. In addition to the title being extremely searchable, there are also all of the tags that you can include for that model as well. So product SKU number, brand name, if the product is part of a bigger suite of products, in this case, Kohler's Escal collection, including that, and then other just random things like the words green toilet or green design or SketchUp, including SketchUp as a tag for Picasa, which Alex mentioned earlier, is also a really great way to get your SketchUp portfolio out there for people when they're searching for images. So there's that. There's the description, obviously, which is your chance to really kind of market the product or market the project. And then there's the link back. And one of the best things you can do, as many of you may know, for search engine optimization is to include links back and forth between things. And that's, again, going back to touching on that idea of there never really being a dead end. When you've got content available in one place, consider where people may want to go next and include a link to that next place. And so in this case, right back to the Kohler website where they're seeing the exact same product, not Kohler.com, but the specific product page for that particular product. And so paying attention to all of those things and really kind of trying to be specific about how you're going about uploading your content can really help out the searchability of not only the 3D file in itself, but also the product or the project that you're trying to post. So with that, I'm going to move on to the next part here. And the next case study that we're going to take a look at is with School. School is our software training division. So with School, we've got all kinds of stuff going on. We've got SketchUp video tutorials, SketchUp training DVDs, live classes, and a forum section on our website where people post and answer questions as well. And so with this especially, we really have to kind of know what's going on with the Google products because we, claim to be purported experts in this stuff. So when we're teaching it, we kind of want to try to put the same stuff up there as well. So from here, just a link to our School website where, again, those are the different products that we've got going on with that. And then if I skip through to the next site, here we're using all kinds of stuff. And one thing I haven't shown yet are iGoogle gadgets. So I want to hop over to my iGoogle homepage. I have two different homepages, one for our Igloo Studios corporate account, but then another one for myself personally. Some of the same content there though. And in this case, with iGoogle homepages, you have the ability to create your own little customized gadgets. That's what these guys are that are showing up. And so we've created a gadget for the SketchUp show, which allows you to click through and view 10 different SketchUp YouTube videos at a time. So that was kind of cool. And there's also a 3D warehouse gadget. So two different options there. And then just to mention that we also do quite a bit of work. Our company is spread out all over the place. We've got guys working out of our office in Indiana, doing a lot of our computer modeling work and architectural design work. We've got guys that live up here in San Francisco. Our LA office is spread out over 2 different physical offices and then 3 or 4 people that work from home. And so Google Docs has actually been really helpful for us in terms of collaborating not only at an executive level with our company, but also on different projects, using Google spreadsheets, using Google Docs to share ideas and collaborate with each other, but also with our clients and our customers. And then a lot of different projects will also create our own little Google groups. We've got Google Talk as well as iChat, since most of us work on Macs in the office, but those are just a few other Google apps that we also use in our work, which I just kind of alluded to briefly here. So yeah, all of these different things in use in or with School. Again, though, going back to content creation in SketchUp. So this is a SketchUp model of the Home Depot Center, which we also uploaded to the warehouse, just like everything else. And if I go over into SketchUp, I can open up that model just to take a quick look at it. And with this file, we used this during one of the episodes of our SketchUp tutorial podcast, which is called The SketchUp Show. We used this model in particular to promote the Logitech 3D Connexion device, which is a cool little 3D mouse. I don't have one here with me. But if I just go back over to Firefox and look at our presentation on the next page, I do have a link to the YouTube video that we uploaded for that particular episode. So again, going back to YouTube, in addition to having this video there, which is an episode of the SketchUp Show, over in the right-hand column, we get all kinds of other SketchUp-related content.
I want to show you guys this new product that we picked up. It's
hate looking at this
the
off.
Space Navigator from 3D Stuff,
Sorry.
and then the
It's like the epitome of.
really dynamic.
Okay, thank you for loading
and
quickly.
spin it
Okay, pass me. Okay.
really dynamic presentations without the herky-jerky kind of zooming and panning that you'd ordinarily be used to with just your center wheel.
Okay, enough about that. So that was the SketchUp Show episode that we did where we were showing the Logitech mouse and that same SketchUp model. And here on YouTube, same kind of thing. When you're working with YouTube or when you're working with Picasa, as I mentioned earlier, those same types of techniques in terms of the description, the searchable tags, and then how that information is organized, so the collections. And in this case, we've got our SketchUp page on YouTube, our account, which has all of our videos loaded. And this is where people have been able to come and subscribe to our videos. So every new video that we put out, they get an automatic update from YouTube letting them know that we have a new video available. And it's where we can kind of go and get statistics on how many people we have subscribed. So almost at the 600 mark, but I'm sure after all of you guys go home and subscribe to our YouTube videos, we'll cross over that 600 mark. And we can also check out how many people have checked out the channel, and we can also check out how many people have collectively viewed all of our different YouTube episodes, or each individual one if we want to do that instead.
What do you use to capture like the 3D orbiting in SketchUp for the show?
A lot of the shows are produced pretty much on a Mac, and so we use a software called iShowU, which is a screen capture software, which just works. It's one of the best ones we've ever found, and so it works really well. When we're on a PC, we'll use a program called Camtasia. So, Camtasia.
C-A-N?
Camtasia. Camtasia. Yep, and we have settings specifically set for our SketchUp Show episodes, so that by the time we're done doing the screen capture, the production workflow from getting that into a video and then up to YouTube is pretty straightforward. And that's actually one of the things Alex is going to talk about here in a second. So I won't go too much into that because we're almost out of time. So that's kind of what we've got, some of what we've got going on there. And in addition to the iGoogle gadget, we also have the Google Maps API implemented on our website. So if I go back to that briefly, I don't think I left that open. But if I just click on YouTube, I can get back to our website. Kind of handy. Again, but that's the whole point, right? Is putting those links everywhere. So at every place where you go, you slather it with every other place that you could potentially go. And one of the really cool parts about that too, Alex kind of briefly touched on it, is we kind of think of it internally as a touch point. That's what we call it when we're talking about that kind of stuff to each other, is there are these different touch points where people just are going to be naturally. People may naturally be participating with Blogger. They may naturally just be at YouTube looking at video content. They may naturally be on the 3D warehouse. And so at any point, if you are able to connect with somebody and sort of bring them into your sphere of information, you can have a much better chance of keeping them there if there isn't that dead end that requires someone to take a mental leap and think, well, I'm on the 3D warehouse, but gee, how would I find out about a video about this particular product? If you have the link right on the warehouse that goes right back to the YouTube video, even better. And if on that YouTube video there's a link either back to the 3D warehouse and or to your website and or to your blog and or to your Picasa album, everything gives you the ability to link through to everything else. And when you've got that total network of information, you kind of get people in and they can totally explore all of your different products in all those different places and really get that full immersive experience. So on our site, we've also included a Google Maps API for the live classes that we offer around the country. We teach SketchUp and Google Earth classes, and when you click on the schedule page, in addition to the actual schedule of classes that are being held down below, there's a Google map on the website. When you click on each little place mark, you get information about the classes that are being offered in that place. So it's just a really cool way to look visually and represent that geo information. So Alex is going to talk a little bit more about how that all ends up getting set up.
Did you have a question though?
Yeah, I did. I really like this idea about eliminating the dead ends, but time being kind of scarce and not, getting started, kind of weaving this web. What, as a small business, has brought you the most returns? Where do you start? What's brought you the most value as a small business?
I'd say our core is SketchUp models first, of course. So putting the SketchUp models in the warehouse has been really big. But our other core is video production. And so for a lot of people that may not be, they may not have the cameras and whatnot set up, the video capture programs we were telling you about, just being able to turn that on and just show and talk about what you're doing in your model, in your project, things like that. Uploading those to YouTube and using that in conjunction with, that's where the videos are where we get a majority of our audience. Again, we don't rely on people to know our URL or even our company name. We rely on them to find our videos or our content first, and then we draw them in with that. Because the more you can give people for free, that's what we're doing here today, right? Looking at a lot of Google's applications that are free. You start using stuff because it's useful or because you enjoy it, and then you kind of come down the road and say, oh, there's more where this came from. And you keep the trail going so that people can follow you in. And for us, I'd say the warehouse and YouTube / just videos in general are the biggest thing. But Mike was touching on maps, and here we've used, so there's kind of two things here. I'm going to show you the easy, simple version to get maps going. You don't really have to have any programming experience whatsoever. And then there's what's going on here, which I'll talk about second. But first I'm going to switch over to Safari. If you go to maps.google.com, and for some of you, you may have been to Google Maps before. You can kind of move around, and that's sort of cool. But there's a tab up near the Google icon called My Maps. When you click on My Maps, you have the ability to create a new map. So I'm going to click on Create a New Map, and you'll notice some tools just appeared on top of my map on the right. So this is really useful if, for instance, you have projects or, we showed you about where our classes are located, and that's interesting, but we're talking about SketchUp here. You may have a project that's located in Mountain View that you want to be able to show a client about. So first I'll just go closer into Mountain View, and I'm going to go to the map view instead of the satellite view and zoom in a bit and close the icon here. So let's say that I want to show somebody that I want to develop right next to the Shoreline Golf Links. It's as easy when you're clicking on My Maps to come up and click on this place mark icon up at the top. So I'll kind of move the place mark. I just clicked on that balloon place mark, and if I click to set it down, it gives me the ability to say something like job site. And let's try that again, job site. And I can put a description there. In here also, we're running out of time, but you can embed things like a YouTube video. You can embed other things like images of that job site, of your model in SketchUp. For now, I'm going to leave the description blank and just click OK, and the map is there. So what do you do with this now? Again, people can find this because it's a map that you can save in Google Maps. If you title it and save it, people will be able to find it when they're searching within Google Maps. You can also embed it. So first, let me just title it on the side, job site, and save it. So now it's saved. So folks can find your site here on Maps. But if you click on the Collaborate tab, which I click, or the Collaborate link here, you'll notice that you can invite other folks to collaborate on your project just by adding their email address in here. You can import other sites that you have other information into your map as well. Where I'm going with this now is I want to take this map and put it on my website in really easy fashion. I'm not a programmer, and I want to be able to show people what I'm doing. So I'm going to click on the link to this page in the upper right. And you can do this with any map. You don't have to necessarily create your own. You may have done this before. But if you create your own and you have a link, make sure that you go to the second link here, which is the one that says it's an HTML to embed in a site. You can copy that. And now I'll go back over to my blog if it's still open. Maybe it's not. Let's just open it up again, blogger.com. So I'm going to create a new post in the Igloo Studios, and we'll say embed maps. Make sure that I'm in the edit HTML. And again, I'm showing you this because it could be your blog, it could be your website. You're just pasting the code that you grabbed out of there, previewing it, and you'll notice that it's going to embed a map. I didn't save my view when I was close in, but if I click on this, the job site comes up, and anything that I would have added in there is there. I'll go ahead and publish that post. And so I'll go to view the blog, if you had created your own map in this way, this sort of just hands-on, you got in there and you did it yourself, you now have a map that has all the functionality of Google Maps right on your site really quickly. Now, what you saw on the school site earlier where we had all of our classes being displayed, there's something that Google offers. It's the Maps API. And again, if you're a programmer, this is where you may take Google's ability. They give you a key as a programmer that says, hey, you're allowed to sort of develop off of our API. And you can combine a database of information like a bunch of job sites all over the country and then display it on a map in your site. And I want to show you something that you guys already should have seen in the presentation, and that's back at the 3D warehouse. I'll show you an example of that Maps API at work. So I'll go back to the Blue Marble Project collection, search for it, search for the buildings. The buildings are all geolocated, and you notice over on the right, this is just a Google map, and it's using that Maps API. So we're going to put a link in our presentation on if you have code-savvy people. Imagine this, you have projects that are around the world, you want somebody to know about them, they can click on them, and there's the SketchUp model that says, hey, this is the Courtyard by Marriott that's in downtown Miami. So you're able to take different projects that you've got going on in different places and geolocate them on a map and put them on your website. And again, if the map is saved at Google Maps, they can find you there. So those are the Maps functionalities. Another thing that Mike covered just a second ago is Google Earth. With Google Earth, there's a couple of options that I want to take you through really quickly. In Google Search, just the regular toolbar that you get when you go to google.com, you can obviously search lots of, well, I got his homepage here. You can, it's going to keep on defaulting to his homepage, but you can just search for anything, any sort of information that's out there in terms of HTML or web pages. When you go to Google Earth, and Google Earth obviously being the platform to display not only the information as far as like what the world looks like, but you can put SketchUp models in there. Google Earth allows you to search 3D data and search for things like SketchUp models by going around and looking at this information that's being posted to the 3D warehouse. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. If you're posting things into the warehouse, you're now also, if it's geolocated, you're opening yourselves up to be found by millions, tens of millions, maybe even over 100 million, I'm not positive, of folks that are browsing through Google Earth. So in the bottom left-hand corner of Google Earth, there's a bunch of checkboxes here. And for folks that are browsing the Earth, if they have the 3D buildings layer checked on, they're going to have the ability to have these, just like in the maps where we had all of our buildings getting sucked onto the map and then there was an icon for them. I'm going to zoom out here. We're in Carson right now in Google Earth, and I'm going to come over to Los Angeles to get downtown, which is nearby, so it won't be too far of a Google Earth flight. So if you go into Los Angeles, you'll notice that with the 3D buildings layer checked on, once I get a little closer here, we'll tilt so that we can see the buildings that are naturally coming up in Google Earth. Oops, zoom in a little bit. So you have 3D buildings that are, the 3D buildings layers that are checked on here, and why aren't my 3D warehouse icons popping up?
It'll show up once it loads.
Yeah, it looks like our connection's just a little slow, but what you will notice is the buildings that Google loads up automatically in Google Earth will load, and then some of the other buildings that maybe aren't modeled currently will start popping up with those little house icons like we saw in the 3D warehouse. They'll get served automatically from the warehouse. So whenever you upload models of things that you've got that are geolocated in Google Earth, there'll be folks that are finding them on the warehouse, in Google Earth. And as they're finding them in Google Earth, they'll click on them. If you have the information loaded in there in the warehouse, all the description, all the links back to your site, everything carries through into the information bubble. And I apologize that they're not coming up here at the moment. Bummer. Thought there'd be a better web connection here. So I just wanted to touch on the maps and the Earth thing. We're running out of time, so I'm going to cut the Earth thing short. I'll put a few more links, though, when we give you the link to our presentation at the end so that you can see a few of the demonstrations of how we use Google Earth to promote. We have one more case study that we have just a few minutes to run through.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. But anyway, again, the main point here, just when you do see these buildings in Earth and you click on them, those place mark tags come up and descriptions, links. It's just, that's the way to get people back to whatever it is you want them to come back to from Earth. And it's the same description and the same links that you include when you're uploading those SketchUp models to the 3D warehouse. So, oh well. Back over to the presentation. And the last case study that we have here to talk about is one of our newest ventures, which is called Resource. It's an online site, resourcemedia.tv. If I click on the link here, it'll open up our homepage. And this is kind of our attempt to take everything that we've learned with all of the other stuff that we've been doing with school and with the Blue Marble project and put together an online community. It's a video-driven community about information related to sustainable design and sustainable construction. So this is targeted much more specifically towards architects and designers, but also to the consumer audience of people who are interested in sustainable building methods and sustainable products. All kinds of really great information here, plus we're working on getting all of our content AIA accredited. So what I wanted to come down and show was one of the videos in particular, where you guys will recognize that as being a SketchUp image. So what we're doing here in terms of content creation is using SketchUp to create 3D models of case study projects. So other projects that architects have designed or that they're working on or that they're building, create models of those projects in SketchUp format, use the SketchUp models for all of our motion graphics. So we're creating all of our animations for the show in SketchUp and exporting those to use in the videos. And then also uploading those models to the 3D warehouse. So in this case, one of the central projects that we're looking at throughout the site is a project that's being built up in Santa Barbara, which we've called the Conscious Build Lab. And it's a sustainable home that's being built up in Arroyo Grande. If I click on the link here, I go back to the 3D warehouse where anyone can download that particular model, look at it on their own computer and check it out. If I click over on the collection, and this is another aspect of the 3D warehouse that's important. I was waiting until now to talk about it, but if I click on that collection, we can go back and see the other case studies that we've covered in resource so far. So these are other SketchUp models that either ourselves or in some cases the architects who designed and built the homes already had SketchUp models available. So we're putting those SketchUp models up on the warehouse. And in addition to entire buildings, we're also putting sustainable design systems. And so in this case, fly ash, little animation that sort of shows how fly ash is collected from carbon, coal burning energy plants. If I back up here a second, go back over to the case studies. We've also included systems in some of these models. So in the Conscious Build model, which I have in SketchUp, we've also done quite a bit of work in terms of creating SketchUp models of the radiant floor slab and how that radiant floor system works, so that architects and designers who are interested in using that information can really take it and incorporate it into projects that they have going on. So this is one of our newest things, and a lot of it is still kind of in progress, but if I go back over to the website, I just want to click on the video and see if I can get it to download fast enough. And if not, I have the QuickTime version, but
I design and build luxury homes, and I'm choosing to design and build them green and inspire other people to do the same, to show that it's easy to do, that it's inexpensive to do, and to dispel the misnomers about what it is to be sustainable.
So that's Matt. He's the real estate developer who's building the home up in Arroyo Grande that we're documenting for the show. But I just want to see if we can get the SketchUp model up here soon.
Hi, I'm Matt.
Let me scrub through. There it is. So within the videos, we're exporting SketchUp animations and then including those as the motion graphics for the show.
It fits perfectly into the landscape here. And it's a cluster of barns, actually, connected with some glass walls.
So that's one video in particular about the home itself. There are other videos that talk about the radiant heat flooring installation. And so with that video, we've also got a SketchUp model specifically of the radiant floor system. So we're including a lot of that stuff in there as well. And then all of these videos, in addition to being on the website and being distributed through iTunes and being posted to Facebook, are also obviously on YouTube as well. So go back over into my presentation. And there you can see the 3 modes that we're really kind of trying to use. A lot of work in this project with Google Docs, using the Google Doc program to create scripts and type up all that information and share that, and also spreadsheets that have all of our production shoots scheduled, the contact information for all the people that we need to get in touch with to interview on the project. In addition to having information about sustainable systems, the Resource Network also interviews a lot of experts in the sustainable design field. And so there's just lots of really great high quality information there. But again, all kind of incorporating SketchUp and the warehouse and YouTube to get all that stuff out there for people to check out and consume. So I think Alex was going to talk a little bit about some of the YouTube aspects related to what we're doing with Resource. So
Yeah, so the last thing, and it was something that we touched on earlier, our biggest successful thing that we probably get the most out of is people finding our videos, not necessarily us first. So YouTube is a great place for that. On the YouTube site, and I'll just touch on this quickly as we run out of time here. We've posted the trailer to the YouTube site now. When there's a few things to note when you look at the trailer at first, it's going to look kind of junky and garbage. YouTube has
You're watching Resource, a monthly show about the latest sustainable technologies.
Let me just turn that off for a second. A hidden link here that's called, or not very hidden, but Watch in High Quality. If I click on that, what's nice is our really nice high definition version pops up. YouTube naturally will send any of your viewers, it'll look at their web connection and the speed, and it might show them a not so great version at first, thinking that it's too slow. If you're doing anything in really nice quality, I'm going to put a link on our blog. There's a little snippet of code, and rather than you guys all scribbling it down, I'll put it in our blog. that you can add to the end of any YouTube link. So at the very top here, I have a link, and there's a little 5-character snippet of code that will force the high-quality version to play for people, which is a nice thing. Second, where we get all of our value is not necessarily out of the video itself. I mean, that's where we get to talk about our projects or what we're working on. If you go so far as to post anything in YouTube, just like the 3D warehouse, there's when you're first posting, you get to add a description, tags, so on and so forth. Notice on the right side of the video, the more info here is where we got to add a full description of the video. We got to categorize it, add tags, and something that's actually missing at the moment, and it was just an oversight, is a link back to the resource website. That should be there. And all of that information, sometimes you kind of get in a hurry, you're just putting something up there, you just throw it up. This information right here is how people are going to find us in the first place. And it's also how, in just a regular Google search, YouTube videos will start popping up. And again, if people see something that comes from us in this form or fashion, they may have no idea that we're Igloo Studios or what we're doing behind the scenes. They're going to be interested in our content, and they're going to start looking what's related. Is there more from you? Right now we only have one video here. My next suggestion would be add more videos. People are going to start looking for where you're at. Finally, there's the embed code. Just like every other thing that I've shown you, there's an easy little copy. You just copy the embed code there, and then you would go to your website, or in my case, the blog that we're working with. And just like everything else, you can embed it. So if you add a new post and put the embed code and preview it, your YouTube video will show up and people can play it in the site. So I'll publish that for now and view in the blog. So with YouTube, I think our sort of secret, so to speak, to YouTube isn't that big of a secret. It's just be thorough with your descriptions, be thorough with your tagging, make sure that you upload more video so that people will kind of get familiar with you. We're noticing that as we teach people what we're doing, we show them how we're doing what we're doing, we're noticing that more people come to us and just say, hey, like I've seen you guys, or I've seen your stuff before. And it starts that conversation, starts that interaction, so that maybe one day they are on our websites and they are eventually becoming clients or purchasing our products.
If you embed that link in your blog, is the high def available, or is it only the standard?
So it automatically wants to, as you saw, it automatically wants to put the standard def in there. So in order to force it, you would just need to tinker with the embed code. And like I said, I'll post that little piece there. But it's important for us, right? Because our content being high definition, we sure would hate if your first impression of us was to see the really chunky version and not know if we knew what we were doing. So that's important there. I think that's about it. And the last thing that Mike had already shown you is, I'm going to just type SketchUp into YouTube. Because we are here at Basecamp, we're here for SketchUp. Putting anything related to your projects or anything like that, there's a lot of great SketchUp material in here. And it's important not only to, to show people that you created a car or whatever, and you could just be touring around the model and recording it and talking and saying what your project's all about. Or you could be doing sort of a tutorial and letting people know how you even managed to accomplish that in the first place. If people click on your video and they like it, in this case, this is back to our SketchUp show, if they like it, they can actually say, hey, who are the people that put this together? They link to you. You can have a channel on YouTube. So I guess that would be the final thing, is if you are going to go to the level of producing a lot of video content, go ahead and upload those videos, but also look into creating a channel where you can bring all your videos into the channel and have a lot more information about yourself, and basically you open up the ability for people to subscribe to you as a channel. So once they find a video, they don't say, okay, well now I'm on to somebody else's SketchUp video. They can stay with you to find out more about what you're doing.
Just open up for some questions. Or?
Yeah, I mean we're pretty much out of time, but I don't know, are there any other questions?
Cricket. Cricket.
What's that?
There's a new script out that will embed a YouTube link on the model. So you can right-click on your model, and then you'll pop.
And it'll pop up the YouTube that can show how maybe it was created,
or
or
anything that relate, like sketchy physics. There's some really nice little things that you're not going to see with the model.
with the model, right?
But if you have to, I guess with that, you have to download the script too.
Right.
And that have to be installed. So
For the person to be able to use it.
Right click or a shortcut.
Yeah, so what you're talking about is in SketchUp, and there's a few other scripts like that where you can kind of embed extra information on top of your SketchUp model, as long as the person using SketchUp has that same link installed.
Yeah.
And so, and that's tricky, right? But you might be able to just start showing
Yeah,
people.
that'd be nice. 'Cause all it shows is that little tiny screen that pops up.
Uh-huh.
If you get that code and it pops up bigger, some of them would be.
Yeah. And you can play around a lot like this. I mean, almost everything, every time I've been grabbing these embed codes from YouTube and from the 3D Warehouse and so on, they sort of can all interrelate. You can embed, your 3D model into your Google map, or you can embed your Google map into your YouTube video across, or you could just kind of mix and mash them up and kind of see what works for you and what might bring more people.
It could be educational. Like anytime you want to educate with someone, if they give them a sample model, and then well, you can then that person is you're going to be teaching them, so they're going to have that plug in, and then they can always reference back to an actual video which someone else has on their server.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just going to type something. I'll make this bigger so you guys can all read it in just 1 second. The blog that we were starting to use as our Igloo Studios Inc.blogspot.com is the only thing you have to write down if you want to.
Oh, isn't that going to be on the newsletter for?
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get it posted elsewhere too. This hopefully isn't the only place that you'll see it. We've put a few things up there during the class. On the side of the blog too, which I'll show you in a second, there's a list of some of the other blogs that we read, the Maps blogs, the Google Earth, the SketchUp blog, other places where we get information to say, hey, there's something we should try. On this blog, we'll have links to all of that, links to the stuff we did today, and if you give it a couple of days, I'll go ahead and add a few other things that we sort of referenced, but we ran out of time to talk about.
And post comments to that, and if there wasn't something we had time to cover, or if there are other hidden gems that you guys know about, or if you're finding some of these tips or tricks useful, post some of that back to the blog that we've got going.
So that's the stuff that's been working for us. We hope that something there was a valuable learn for you guys, and feel free to contact us through the blog, and hope that you guys are able to promote your SketchUp work and have fun at the rest of Basecamp.